Peace was good. Welcome to the installment of my CD collection. This is part 12. Yes, I know I said that I was gonna do 11.5, but yesterday I went to the Boynton Beach Mall, and I went digging, CD digging, bought some more joints. Alright, so gonna make this to part 12. There were 4 more albums left off of from part 11, so I'm gonna do those first, and then the rest are from yesterday's digs. Alright, so the first album of this today is or tonight I should say, is Queen Latifah's Nature of a Sista, released in 1991. Overall very dope album, a little bit different from the first album, not too much but a little bit different, just production wise, you know. I like it a lot. It's definitely one of her best albums. Obviously there's no Black Rain, but you know, everybody knows Black Rain. That's her best album. That's her best album to date, in my opinion. But this album definitely has like a Naughty by Nature vibe to it, because you know she's affiliated with them, with the whole flavor unit and stuff like that. But I highly recommend checking this album out if you guys want to know how she sounded back in the early 90s. Singles this album was known for Latifah's Had It Up to Here, Fly Girl, and How Do I Love Thee. Those are the 3 singles off this album. Highly recommend it if you like Queen Latifah, if you like early 90s hip hop, like Naughty by Nature, you know, stuff like that. Highly recommend it. Queen Latifah, Nature of a Sista, released in 1991. Then we got Semi-Official, the Anti-album, released in 2003. Semi-Official is pretty much is a group that consists of I Self Divine of Micronauts and what other group he was in? Micronauts and the Dino Spectrum, which I'm trying to get my hands on that album. That's just hard to come by. But him and DJ Abilities of Ideas and Abilities. By the way, rest in peace, Idea. You're definitely missed. But anyways, getting back to this album, they pretty much collab with each other and they made this album. Overall, very dope, very experimental. If you're a fan of MF Doom and stuff like that, you'll definitely enjoy this album. If you like Micronauts, if you guys are familiar with Micronauts, then you know what you get into with this album. Highly recommend it. One of the biggest songs, it's like an underground. I don't want to say underground classic, but it's pretty big in the underground world. Is Songs in the Key of Trife featuring MF Doom. I mean, people go crazy with that song. That's how that song is. Overall, very dope. And these are albums I haven't done reviews yet, so stay tuned for those. Then we got Group Home's second album, A Tear for the Ghetto, released in 1999. Overall, I like this album. It's definitely not touching Living Proof. Living Proof is by far their best album. Some of DJ Premier's beats are on this album, but getting back to this album, it's a very dope album. Very underrated in my opinion, because a lot of people kind of overshadow, you know, this album with Living Proof, because you know, like I said, DJ Premier. You know, anything DJ Premier touches is pretty much gold. Well, most of the time, but sometimes he can be hit or miss sometimes. But definitely one of my favorite producers. But that's no shots towards him. But anyways, you know, around this time, you know, I think they had like a falling off with DJ Premier. I think I read some articles saying like how I think I read an interview where DJ Premier was saying, like, you know, they weren't really the best lyrical MCs, but the beats that they gave him pretty much saved their album, some shit like that. I don't remember what he said, but yeah, man. But like I said, I think they had like a falling off or whatever. But I believe he made one beat for them, and that was the song "The Legacy" featuring Guru. That's a pretty dope song. The only single of this album is "Make It in Life," which was a single, as well as "Stupid Motherfuckers" track 3 and "Run for Your Life." But those songs were like more like 12-inch singles and stuff like that. But overall, very dope. Definitely captures that late 90s 12-inch indie New York hip hop sound, if you will. That's the best way I could describe it, man. I mean, if you're a fan of Group Home and you never heard this album, I highly recommend picking this album up. This album might be a little hard to find, The Living Proof is a little bit more accessible because you know it's their more popular album. This album was kind of like maybe like under the radar, maybe not under the radar, but it wasn't promoted right. You can tell. This album was actually out of print, so if you can find it, pick it up. This is Group Home, A Tear the Ghetto, A Tear for the Ghetto, released in 1999. Pick it up if you can find it. It shouldn't be too expensive if you find it. Then we got Saak Red or Sabac, Sabacolypse, A Change Gonna Come, released in 2004. You guys should know Sabac. He's known for his affiliation with Necro. He was part of the group. He was part of the group called Non-Phixion, who are no longer a group, which is pretty sad. I mentioned him before, but very dope album. Necro does all the beats. It's still dark, but it's a little bit different from Necro's side of things. Because you know Saak Red, he's kind of more of the political MC of the group. You know, he's like more of the conspiracy theories. So is El Bill, but he kind of goes more on the political side of things. And so that's what it was. And you know, I highly recommend it. If you like stuff like you know, Immortal Technique and MCs like that and the political leg of things, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. This is Saak Red, Sabacolypse now. Sabacolypse, A Change Gonna Come, released in 2004. Pick it up. I believe this album's actually out of print, so if you could find it for a decent price, pick it up. Then we got Sauce Money's Middle Finger You, released in 2000. You guys should know Sauce Money. He's known for his affiliation with Jay-Z. He at one point was with, you know, used to go with Jay-Z and stuff like that. Yeah, very dope. He's known. He was that dude that was on Jay-Z's first album. What's that song? Bring It On the Reasonable Doubt album. One of my favorite songs off the album, by the way. Thought I'd just throw that out there. Very dope album. It's what you expect. Hardcore rap, hardcore lyrics, ill beats, you know, stuff like that. Like I said, this is his first album, and this is like the only album he ever put out, because after he put out this album, he kind of just like disappeared from the face of the earth. No pun intended. But you know, I believe the only singles off this album is For My Hustlers, which was a pretty big song back in the 99, 2000 and stuff like that. But overall very dope. I highly recommend checking this album out. Like I said, dope beats, dope production, dope lyrics. You know, Sauce Money, I feel like he's very underrated on the mic. People don't really give him a chance. He definitely spits venom. You know, if you were Jay-Z and Jaz-O, you know, you have to spit fire, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely dope. This album I've been looking for years. This album's been out of print for mad long. It still is. It's actually out of print, so you know it makes it a little bit hard to find. But you shouldn't spend more than it shouldn't be that expensive to get. I got this, I believe, for what was I got it for? I got it for $4.99 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, definitely pick this up if you can find it. If you're a fan of Rockefeller, you're a fan of like the old Rockefeller, Jay-Z and stuff like that, I highly recommend it. Late 90s hip hop, Sauce Money. Right. I know I'm gonna catch a lot of shit for this, but I'm gonna bring it out anyways. Then we got Puff Daddy's or P Diddy, Puff Daddy and the Family, No Way Out, released in 1997. I'm not gonna describe who he is. You guys should know who Puff Daddy is. But anyways, this is his first album. We already know he's not the best lyricist. He always have people ghostwrite his shit. But I got it for $1 at a thrift store. I went thrifting yesterday as well, and got it for $1. So I was like, why not? Cause that's more than I will spend on this CD. But overall, this album is actually not as bad as people think. You know, it definitely has some dope bangers. Yes, it does have a lot of fillers, but it definitely has some dope street shits too. One of my favorite songs of the album is I Love You Baby featuring Black Rob. Man, that shit is tough. Yeah, expect a review on this album. Like I said, all these albums I'm gonna do reviews on. I'm known for singles like Victory, Been Around the World. What what's this song? Benjamins, All About the Benjamins. I'll Be Missing You, featuring Faith Evans and 112. You know, he uses the Police Every Breath You Take sample. I mean, everybody knows that fucking song. That's a classic song. Overall, very dope. Highly recommend it. Like I said, it might not be for everybody's taste because you know how people feel about Puffy. I feel the same way, but like I said, the beats is what saved him in my opinion. Definitely pick it up. You know, definitely pick it up. You know, just for nostalgia purposes. Then we got Diamond D's newest album or his latest album, the Hugh Hefner Chronicles, released in 2008. This album is not bad. It's actually pretty good. If you're expecting stunts, blunts of hip hop or the hatred, passion, and infidelity, that type of sound, you'll be sadly disappointed. You know, Hugh Diamond D, you know, he's stepped up. You know, he's evolved and stuff like that. You know, he has a lot more topics to talk about. You know, stuff like that. I believe it was 2 singles off the album. I believe it was Don't Beg and Bad/Good. I know Bad/Good, there was a video for that. Yeah, very dope, man. I like this album a lot. Like I said, it's not his best album, but it's not his worst either. Like I said, the first 2 albums are my favorites. I have Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop, but I'm trying to get his second album, Hatred, Passion, and Infidelity, which is out of print and it's hard to find. So I'm trying to get my hands on that, but I will get it eventually. But this is Diamond D, Hugh Hefner Chronicles. Definitely dope. Dope producer, dope MC. Highly recommended. Then we got Public Enemy's first album, Yo Bumrush Show, released in 1987. The year I was born. Thought I just throw that out there. Yeah, very dope album. Highly recommend this album. This album is very underrated, very slept on, because a lot of people, you know, when they think of Public Enemy, automatically at the top of their head they think of it takes a nation of millions to hold us back, and Fear of a Black Planet. That's like their most breakthrough albums and stuff like that. This album was kind of like under the radar type of thing. Definitely has like a more underground sound to it. You know how the late 80s were. You know, the late 80s were like a really raw, gritty sounding beats. This is that album. I mean, the same as their later albums too, but this album definitely is like the most raw sounding album to date. Singles album is known for is You're Gonna Get Yours and Public Enemy #1. Public Enemy #1 is like the biggest song of this album. My favorite songs of this album is what's the song? Well, I have one favorite. Is My Uzi Weighs a Ton. Oh my god, that song is ill. But yeah, Public Enemy, Yo Bumrush Show, released in 1987. Oh, and little trivia, the DJ group Executioners, their album Built From Scratch was actually uses the same album cover, is inspired by the same album cover, using paying a ode to this album, and it's kind of like the same thing. Built From Scratch by Executioners, so they kind of copy them and stuff like that, just paying homage to them and stuff like that. But this is Public Enemy, Yo Bumrush Show, released in 1987. Go pick it up. Then we got US3, Hand on the Torch, excuse me. This is released in 1993. They're a group, or jazz fusion group, jazz rap fusion group from London, England. Very dope music. Like I said, this is music that you can play like driving around, around the city and stuff like that. It definitely captures that. It definitely captures New York, like that metropolitan area. It captures that city life back in the early 90s, especially New York, like Manhattan and stuff like that. The biggest song of this album is a song called Cancel with Flip and Fantasia. If you grew up in the 90s, you've heard that song before. To give you a prime example of that song that was used, if you watch the movie, what's that movie called? Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito, where he plays as a teacher in a boot camp. you know, with the army and shit like that, where Stacey Dash, Khalil Kane from Juice, Mark Wahlberg. Well, in the beginning of that movie, they played that song Cantaloupe. So I just thought I'd just throw that out there. They have other albums out, but I never heard their other albums. I definitely want to check their other shit. But Hand of the Torch very dope. A lot of it's instrumental. You got some vocals on it, like rap vocals and stuff like that. But definitely a dope album to play like when you're driving around or like just walking around the city and shit like that. Definitely dope. Definitely captures that early '90s New York vibe. You know what I mean? Definitely a dope album. See how much time we got left? Alright, try to hurry this up. Then we got Arrested Development's second album, Zingalamaduni. I think that's how you say it. Excuse me if I fucked it up. But anyways, this is the second album. This was released in '94. I have their first album, 3 years, 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of, which a lot of people consider their best album, and I tend to agree with that. This album, when it came out, it wasn't promoted right. Didn't really get. It was kind of panned by critics. You know, some people it had mixed reviews on it. Like some people liked it, a lot of people didn't like this album. This album was definitely slept on. It definitely has some bangers. I like some of the songs. It's definitely not their best album. Obviously, their first album was their best album, but I say give this album another chance. Yeah, man, if you like early '90s or mid '90s hip hop, definitely pick this up. You know, they use a lot of live instrumentation and stuff like that, which is, you know, a lot of people weren't doing that before. Not to say they were the first people to do that, but you know, they were like really heavy on that. But this album has like a more Afrocentric vibe to it, so definitely check this album out. I mean, you can get it for cheap. I got it for like $3 at FYE. So yeah. So this is Zingalamaduni, whatever the fuck you say it. But this is the second album, released in 1994. Pick it up. Very slept on, underrated. Pick it up. It shouldn't be that expensive if you find it used. Then we got their second album, Public Enemy's second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back, released in 1988. Very dope album. Highly recommend checking this album out. This is an album that every hip hop head should own. Even if you're not a hip hop head, this is an album you should definitely own. Known for singles like what are the songs? Night of the Living Bassheads, Black Still in the Hour of Chaos, Rebel Without a Pause was a single. I believe Louder Than a Bomb was a single as well. I could be wrong on that. Don't Believe the Hype was a singles too. Interesting point down with a little trivia I want to point out. The song Cold Lamper with Flavor, that song, if you watch the movie Ghost Dog, where Sonny, the mob boss of the group or whatever, or the cop or whatever, the underboss or whatever, when he gets killed in the movie, but like that scene where he's about to take a shower and shit like that, he's lotioning himself. That song you played, that he's playing in the background, that's the song that he's talking about. Can't Cold Lamper with Flavor. That's the song that he's rapping to and stuff like that. That's a Flavor Flav solo track. But overall, definitely a dope album. There's been debates which album is better. This album or Fear of the Black Planet, which I did a review on. It's kind of hard to say because me personally, my favorite albums from Public Enemy are Apocalypse 91, which is very underrated in my opinion, and Music and Now Message, which came out in '94, another slept on album. But this is It Takes a Nation and Millions to Hold Us Back, released in 1988. Pick it up. And we got Rakim's first solo debut album, Without Eric B. This was released in '97. I did a review on his second solo album, The Master, released in '99. The album was okay, could have been a little bit better. This album was a lot better than The Master in my opinion. Better beats and stuff like that. Definitely not as it's definitely not as polished as the master album. You know, definitely doesn't have filler tracks like the master does. But highly recommend checking this album out. The only single off this album I believe was Guess Who's Back, which very dope song. But 18th Letter, Rakim, 1997. Then we got Roc Marciano's Reloaded, released in 2012 or last year. Very dope album. I showed you guys Marshburg in the last CD collection, part 11, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This album pretty much leaves off from Marshburg. This album sonically, he kind of experimented with the beats, you know what I mean? Because in the first album, you know, he did all the beats, even though he did most of the beats on here, but Q-Tip, I believe, did one beat on this album. Alchemist, he does a couple of beats on this album. But it's definitely experimental as far as production wise, but it's still gritty, still that dark, gritty signature sound that Roc Marciano is known for. Definitely, I would highly recommend picking this album up. Expect a review on this album. Then we got Lost Boyz third and final album that they released together. Studio album, I should say. That's not including the greatest hits album they put out back in 05. I don't count that. That's more of a compilation album. This is like their actual, with, you know, songs that they actually recorded. But anyways, this is LB for Life, released in 1999, the last album that they released. This album's okay. It's not the best album. I personally prefer their first two albums. Legal Drug Money, which is a classic album. Love, Peace, and Happiness, which I kind of felt was very slept on. This album is alright. Definitely has some bangers. It's not their best album. It didn't really sell very well either. I believe the only single off this album is Ghetto Jiggy, which they have a video for. Highly recommend it if you like Lost Boyz, or you just want to collect the Lost Boyz discography, or complete it, I should say. Definitely embodies late 90s hip hop, especially in the direction that it was going. Like I said, it's not their best album, but definitely worth picking up if you're a Lost Boyz fan. And it's crazy too because Freaky Tah, he died like by the time this album was released. You know, he died. Unfortunately, he got killed at a party in a hotel. I believe it was his birthday party, if I'm not mistaken. They caught the guy. Thank God. Yeah, very dope album. Like I said, not the best, but it's tolerable, put it like that. But rest in peace, Freaky Tah. Definitely one of the illest hype man in my opinion. You're definitely missed, my dude. Then we got Queen Stand Up. Then we got Alchemist, Chemical Warfare. His second album, released in 2009. Very dope album. I like it a lot. It's definitely not. It's good. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not touching First Infantry, which I feel like was a better album in my opinion. But definitely, if you like Alchemist, you guys know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of people don't really like his rhyming, but the beats definitely make up for it. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is a good album. If you like dope beats, if you're a fan of Mobb Deep, you're a fan of Infamous Mob, you're a fan of Alchemist, you're a fan of his beats, this is an album to pick up. Alchemist, Chemical Warfare, released in 2009. Then the last album that I'm talking about is Some I Got Left. Yeah, we good. Big Daddy Kane, It's a Big Daddy Thing, released in 1989. This is his second album. Fine ass girls, man. That's one thing I give Big Daddy Kane props. His choices in women, man, I give him that. But anyways, getting back to this album, very dope album. My opinion, it's not as good as his first album, Long Live the King, but this is definitely a dope album. This is actually his best-selling album, if you believe it or not. It's known for songs like Warm It Up, Kane, Smooth Operator, and So this song, I Get the Job Done. Very dope album, like I said. Big Daddy Kane. To me, Big Daddy Kane, he never got whacked. He's one of those MCs that came out in the 80s that never lost his touch. Because, you know, you got some MCs from the 80s and 90s that, you know, they come out, when they first come out, they're dope as fuck. But then they put out music now, and it's kind of like, kind of mediocre. That's not the case with this album. I definitely need to get the rest of his albums. I already have Daddy's Home, that was released in '94. Another dope, underrated album. And the rest of his albums, Prince of Darkness, Taste of Chocolate, and Veterans Day, which is hard to come by. But yeah, this is Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane is a Big Daddy thing, released in 1989, and that's it. Stay tuned for more CD collections. After this review, well, not this CD collection, but next time I do is gonna come out from that box that I showed you, that blue big box that I showed you guys. That's almost no. Nah, I got a lot more. Excuse me, I got a lot more CDs I gotta cover because I got from like my CD cases and stuff like that. So stay tuned for more CD collection videos. Peace.